Let's meeting to order. First order of business is to announce executive session held by the Board of Supervisors on December 22nd to discuss personnel. Now's the time we take public comment on non-agenda items.
Can I start off?
Yeah.
I just think it's appropriate that we thank Ken for his 24 years of service to the township. 24 years is an awful long time for any one position, and this job is a thankless job.
Okay, Brian, start out. Oh, I'm sorry, Harry has your hand up. Go ahead. You were first. Yeah, I just called your name wrong.
I would like to add my thanks not just to Ken, but to his family for being willing to let him give so much of his time to take care of all the members of West Vincent Township. And by the way, it's really 30 years because he was on the planning commission for 6 years before he became a supervisor, so he could learn how the township.
I stand corrected.
Okay, Sarah.
Sharon, what did they say that on the floor? I give my time to Sharon.
Okay, Sharon.
Okay. Number one, you guys, John and Harry, you pretty well covered what I had already written down. I'm not a public speaker, so I had to make my notes. I just want to say how very, very proud I've always been of West Vincent Township, and I still am. I know we've been up a lot of pressure, against a lot of pressure, but we have a wonderful township with all this open space, preserved land, trails, linear parks, which are the dirt roads, folks, which we love. Police department and everything else is wonderful. And Ken, I know you and I did not always agree on things back in the beginning, but I've learned to love you. In the past months, I really want to commend you because I just have seen you take the high road in the midst of things that weren't that pleasant. I feel so much is owed to you and the other members for what we have here. And also and Harriet, you mentioned it already, but Sue, Randy, and Jesse, because I know they've given a lot up too, I'm sure supporting you and sharing you with the township. My hope now, honestly, is that we can move past all this bitterness, negativity, and vindictiveness that has gone on. I saw an email about you today, David. I wasn't sure if it was complimenting you or if it was mocking you.
I don't think so.
Well, I wasn't sure, but I should have complimented you for encouraging us to come out. And I hope now that the Board of Supervisors will continue to look to the residents for input, and please step away from non-residents who have personal agendas. I mean, that's not fair. We don't need these negative personal agendas. And my hope is that David, John, and Mike, you'll guide us in the way we've been going. And Ken, again, a really big thank you.
Other comments? Sarah?
I'll take my time back. I do want to thank you, and I want to say to John, I think 24 years might be something to aspire to. PSATs award supervisors who serve for 24 years or longer because they recognize the dedication that it takes to survive in that job for that long. So, Ken, you're a hell of a survivor, and we all owe you a huge debt of gratitude.
Well, there has to be a better compliment than being a survivor.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. What would we have for open space? He was involved in the first open space plan, 1991.
First thing I gotta say is I did nothing by myself.
I know you say that
It took
every
a lot
time.
of people to make it work. A lot of people in this room on both sides of the aisle.
And it takes good leadership to make it work, so thank you.
Other public comments? Okay, we'll move on to approve the minutes of the December 14th meeting.
Over here, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Brian.
Oh, Maria Holderness.
No,
Brian.
Oh, Brian.
He's on the floor.
Oh, okay.
I finally popped up.
Okay.
At the last meeting, I asked about the Park and Rec's annual report, and Jim said that they were provided at the beginning of the year. And I looked at the first 3 months of 2014 and 2015, and there's no notice of them. Were they really received?
I'm gonna go back and look. I thought they had been, but again, that's the problem with talking off the top of your head. I will take a look and let you know.
Okay.
But I do remember at least one of those reports being prepared.
I believe our bylaws say it's due by the 31st of March.
Due by the 31st of March? Okay, thank you.
Jane Altman and I asked for an agenda item that covered a number of Black Horse Road items, which in summary were project costs, design changes, and lessons learned. Jim said that it had come in too late and offered data to the 11th of January Board of Supervisors meeting. And we have 2/3 of that board here tonight. Are they amendable to having all the info available at that meeting?
Did you see my email I sent you?
Yes.
Jane? Okay. Okay, that goes some way to explaining that, I think. So I
Well,
wanted to make sure
actually,
that,
there's something I'm going to follow up on after this, but John and David, is that okay with you guys?
As far as I'm concerned, it's okay.
Yes.
Okay. At that time, will we have the Carroll Engineering plans from Jane's property to the Upper Euclid Township available? And you know, all the change documents to the plan that was provided to the residents?
I have no idea.
Okay. And Ken, this goes back to your response where you said that even though back on, I think it was the 12th of October, you said, or no, the 23rd of November meeting, you said it would be available at last meeting. But you said you'll be able to, my question is, will you be able to finish up by the 31st? Because after that date, you're kind of in limbo, at least until the 4th of January reorg meeting.
I guess we'll see.
Does that mean that it's possible that we will not have the info?
Anything's possible, Brian.
Okay.
Other comments?
Let's see. The last one here, do we have any lessons learned at this point?
I said I'd respond in an email to you, so everything's in writing.
Okay. And then I'm going to go in, the last thing that I've got here is, at the 12th of October meeting, Jim Wendell Gass said that he believed that D&L Paving and Excavating was different from D&L Construction LLC. Then in a later meeting, when it was raised that payments were being made to not D&L Paving and Excavating, but D&L Construction LLC, and the insurance certificates were from D&L Construction LLC, we heard there was a letterhead misunderstanding. Yet at the earlier meeting, it was completely different. There are two different companies. Should the chief purchasing officer have known that there were some differences or that they were the same?
I believe those issues were addressed by a report by council to the board, and I believe council addressed those in at least one or two previous board meetings.
My listening and what council said versus what was said in the early meeting, don't agree, but that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, other comments?
Right here.
Yeah, Mark.
I'd like to address the boulder situation on Bartlett Lane again. I brought it up last meeting about boulders that are lining the road, and I feel it's a hazardous condition. And I was under the understanding that the boulders, the right-of-way is 13.5 feet from center line of road. Is that correct?
Did anybody look that up?
Yeah, it looks like it's the state standard, which is 13.5 feet.
Well, those boulders are within that
16.5
13. 16.5 feet.
Correct.
Those boulders are within that. And I feel that it's a hazardous condition, and are we going to get somebody to look at it and see what we can do about removing these boulders?
The answer is we have looked at it, and the board received today a letter from the person who put the boulders there, which had made certain responses and statements to the board, and I believe the board's in the process of reviewing that letter.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
Okay, other comments? Okay, now's the time when we approve the minutes of the December 14th, 2015 Board of Supervisors meeting.
Move to be approved.
Second.
Any comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Jim, manager's report.
Just a couple of things to note. One is that township offices will be closed this coming Friday for New Year's Day. We are, however, open New Year's Eve. And the reorganization meeting of the township will be Monday night, January 4th at 7:30 p.m. here.
Bill Olson.
Yep.
Okay, Sergeant Russell.
During the month of November, the West Vincent Township Police Department responded to 136 calls for service, including the following: the arrest of a 53-year-old male for DUI in the 3000 block of Conestoga Road after he crashed his motorcycle. Also, the arrest of a 67-year-old female for a DUI in the 1800 block of Pottstown Pike after she was stopped for driving erratically.
Okay, thank you. Under the active subdivision list, we have no applications need action except for subdivision extension agreement requested by Daniel McKenna, who's authorized agent for Navy Land Development, also known as Trev Dam Lot Number 1, which is located on the west side of Route 100, south of Route 401. They'd like consideration of their plan to be extended to June 28th of 2016. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, bills list is next. We have general fund for December 28, 2015, general fund township bills list is $205,390.30. Reimbursable bills list is $2,634.24, and the subdivision utility plant bills list is $5,822.34. For a total bills list of $213,846.88. The invoices to be ratified on the Nito Abstract Company at $739, which is paid on the 22nd of December. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Before I second it, I apologize for this, but on the Carroll Engineering invoice, I just didn't have a chance to look into it at all.
Okay.
So what I'd like to do, if you gentlemen don't mind, is take that one off and delay it till the next meeting for sure. Is that okay?
It's okay.
We incur any penalties from Carol? No. All right, then, that's fine.
Still need a second, and then
Second.
following the second.
Second then.
So the motion reads,
We'll approve all those bills we must except for the Carroll Engineering invoice in the amount of 4407.51.
okay, motion's made and seconded. Are there any comments, questions?
Is this on the bills?
Yes.
I have a question.
Suzanne?
On page 2, there's a bill for James C. Peck Jr., contract arbitration for the police for $1,500. And since contract arbitration came up at the last meeting, I'd like to know what the hourly billing is for that, please.
There isn't an hourly billing for that. That's a cancellation fee. It was canceled the night before the scheduled arbitration, and there's your standard cancellation fee of $1,500.
That's just because we didn't have the
Because
arbitration?
it wasn't necessary, and it was canceled at the last minute. So the person had to keep the day open had to keep the entire day open.
And who is Mr. Peck?
He is a member, I believe, of AAA, American Arbitration Association, and he was the arbitrator selected from a panel by the township and by the police association.
Thank you.
Okay, someone else have their hand up? Brian Curry.
Under bills, under Apex Compute Corporation, we've got a bill for the police new computer install. Is that just for installation of a new computer?
It is for installation and to put all the necessary software and links on that. The police have some very special software which needs to be loaded on their computers.
Okay, and when was that computer purchased? Because I don't remember it.
I'd have to go back and look.
Okay, we've got one from Metropolitan Communications, installation dash mount radio charger speaker. What is it?
It's a two-way businessman radio that was installed in the new backhoe, new township backhoe.
Okay, so it's for a new piece of equipment then?
Yes.
Okay. Morton Salt, we picked up a whole bunch of salt again for $10,000. We've had 428,000.93 tons since October. Do we have a full salt shed at this point?
That number can't be right, Brian. 400,000 tons?
Excuse me, 428 tons.
428 tons.
Yeah, we're almost full.
Okay. Reimbursable, we've got Manito Abstract Company, Bill Open Space, Chester County Land Transfer. Is this for the French Creek property?
It's title insurance for the French Creek property, yes.
So that means we own it?
That is correct.
Good. And lastly, down Black Horse Road, and this may have been touched on by John, but he didn't go and say why. We have that bill there for Carroll Engineering for $4,407.51. That was the same as last meeting's bill from Carroll Engineering. Do you believe that that's double then, John?
No, it's not that at all. Before we pay it, I just want to question it, that's all. And I haven't had a chance.
Okay.
It was deferred from the last meeting.
Yes.
It was deferred from the last
Yes.
meeting? Okay, so then at that point, our running total is about $171,000 without the road crew hours, without any township materials, which are road used from the stockpile, for a job that was supposed to be $75,000, which was going to be a saving from the original estimated value of having somebody outside the township do it for $150,000. Does that sound right?
Is this a Bill's List question, or are you just persecuting me?
No, I'm just asking a question. Are those good numbers, do you think?
I don't think that your number is correct, no.
Okay. That's it for me, and yes, that's it for me, thank you.
Okay, Maria?
What is, under French Pickering Conservation Trust, there's $15,000 there. What is that for?
$5,000 is to do documentation, and $10,000 is a stewardship contribution, which was agreed to at the last meeting by the board.
What property is that for? Is that the,
That's for the property that's between Horseshoe Trail, the southwest corner of Horseshoe Trail and Route 100.
okay, thank you.
Other questions? Okay, motion's been made and seconded, all those in favor? Jim, you want to go over the correspondence?
We've received notice from the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection that our Act 101 recycling grant this year will be in the amount of $4,411. This represents 439.9 tons of residential and commercial materials recycled by the citizens and businesses in calendar year 2013, gives you some indication that these are awarded several years behind. It represents, I believe, an increase of about $100 over last year. The next item is correspondence from Love's Corner Veterinary Hospital, which is a thank you to the police department for the way they handled a smash and grab burglary, which happened at that facility on December 15th. Just to let you know that the person who did that was apprehended quite quickly, and I believe has been charged with other burglaries, I think is the correct term. So thank you from Chester County Library for the board's contribution to the library.
Question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Brian.
Question for Jim on the recycling issue. Do they also give that number as a percentage, as Act 101 is looking for, that we recycle a certain percentage of our trash inside the township, or do they just give it as a dollar value?
They give a dollar value and a tonnage value, but not a percentage value.
Do we know what our total tonnage is for the township at all?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, under subdivision land development, we have surety reduction request number 2 from Toll Brothers Eagle Farms. We need to move to advance this to the township engineer for review. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is there a motion?
So, second.
Any comment? Those in favor?
Aye.
We have
There's two.
surety reduction request number 3 for performance bond. Is that also to be advanced to the engineer?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we do that then. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any comment? Those in favor?
Aye.
We have from Hank and Weatherstone, Phase 3 escrow release, also to be advanced to the engineer.
Yes.
Hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comment? Kip.
What does phase 3 refer to?
I'm sorry?
What's covered in phase 3?
Phase 3, I think, is Linden Drive, isn't it?
It's primarily Linden Drive.
Which is the one that comes down to Fellowship Road. Okay. Okay, motion's been made and seconded. There's no further comment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Under old business, we have the Phoenixville Regional Comprehensive Plan update.
Again, this is another item that was held over from the last meeting. The question is whether or not the board wishes to participate in a regional redraft of the comprehensive plan, which is the comprehensive plan that is the township's comprehensive plan.
Why did we, somebody remind me, why did we not act on this last meeting?
It was a little confusing, I think, what they were asking us, and I think the planning commission also had a problem with it. No?
It was very clear to the planning commission, if we could do this for $15,000 instead of paying our own legal to do it, that it was undoubtedly an easiest way to renew our comprehensive plan.
And I think
They
planning
voted,
commission-
they recommended that
Thank
you
you for
join it.
answering my
Yes.
speech. Thank you.
So does this require action tonight?
It would be helpful, yes.
Okay, Dave, do you want to make a motion?
Yeah. I move that we approve the update of the Phoenixville Regional Comprehensive Plan as outlined in the letter of November 25th, 2015 from Ed Turkoff.
Second.
Any comment?
Thank
All
you.
those in favor?
Aye. Just kidding.
Next item under old business is approval of the 2016 budget, general fund budget for the township.
Okay, I have that motion in front of me. I would like to make the motion that the proposed budget for 2016 be adopted in the form presented to the Board of Supervisors, consisting of revenue sections entitled taxes, other income, building department, public safety, cultural recreation, water systems, sewer systems, borrowing liquid fuel funds, borrowing, liquid fuel funds, carry forward from prior year totaling $8,456,400, and expenditure sections entitled governing body, administration, treasurer, tax collection, solicitor, legal services, secretary, clerk, other general government administration, data processing, ambulance rescue, code enforcement, planning and zoning, emergency management, public works, sewer systems, winter maintenance, water systems, cultural recreation, libraries, community day, community development, debt service, miscellaneous expenditures, and carry over from previous year with a total of 14 pages in the amount of $8,456,400.
Second.
Any comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item number 12 under old business. Item number 12 under old business is appointment of Whitney Yeager to the Park and Rec Commission. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
We have the ASHTO contract approval. This was discussed at length. John, do you want to go over some of the decisions that we came to since last meeting?
Well, as you recall, we had lengthy discussion, then we went into executive session. What we decided in our second executive session was, well, we didn't decide it there. We're deciding in here, but we changed it, and we took out Article 17, I believe that's the number, which dealt with severance, and we eliminated that in its entirety. Other, Jim, you're more familiar with, there's 3% raises,
Right,
and it's a 4-year contract,
correct,
and those are the primary differences from the previous year.
correct.
And there's no severance in this package at all, in this contract.
Let me just address that, but in the discussion and in the open meeting, there were statements made by John and by Mike Schneider to the effect that they had no contemplation or intention of replacing the road crew. That apprehension on the part of the road crew, which was to some extent justified historically, was what was behind the whole severance idea. Given your John's statement and Mike's statement, I am perfectly prepared to vote for the contract without the severance.
Pretty much summed it up. So I'll make the motion that we approve the collective bargaining agreement between the Township and District Council 88.
Second.
Any comment? All those in favor?
Hey,
please
hey,
say aye.
hey, hey, hey.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. I just want to get home and watch a Monday night football game for once.
Who's playing? So, is there any protection for employees that it might be, instead of firing the road crew, it would be a major status change, like they would be changed from full-time to part-time? Are they given a certain amount of notice? Do you have any protections for the employees? And did the employees, the union, buy off on this change because it was something they had requested, or are they prepared for you guys to do this? And what about if it were a major change of employment, like there would still be a road crew, but they were going to work for Charlestown instead of West Vincent? Is there anything in there that gives some protections from a major change in status rather than just plain getting fired?
Well, I'm thoroughly confused now.
You're welcome. You're
You
welcome.
want to take that one, Steve?
I'm thoroughly confused too.
Well, if you've heard
Three
such
questions.
The Charlestown thing threw me
The
off.
Charlestown thing threw me for a loop.
Well,
Like,
it was far enough away.
Okay.
Excuse me?
there are protections under the collective bargaining agreement for reductions in labor force and things like that. There's a topic known as impact bargaining.
So there is some
That
protection.
protects them to a limited degree in the event that those things occur. The second one was
Or just a change in status or something. So same sort of thing.
the same sort of thing. But
So we
no
would
no
accept-
guarantees, no guarantees. In the Charlestown thing, we don't have any
Yeah, I
jurisdiction
know.
to send anyone anywhere other than West Vincent, so.
Well, just, because they weren't in a butter. I thought that since they had asked for it, that you guys had.
Last question was, have they signed off? The answer to that is no, because we weren't sure what the board was going to do until they did it. Now that the board's taken action and approved this, it'll be submitted back to ASME for their approval.
And so they can or don't have to approve
They
it?
can or they don't have to.
And what does that do to the employees? Since we've got bad weather coming tonight, I just want to make sure we're keeping them
If
somewhat
they
happy,
don't approve it, the employees would be without contract.
which they would be at this minute if you don't approve.
No, no,
If
those
you
are
don't
on to the
approve
end of
it.
the year. They're under contract still.
Yeah, till Thursday.
Till the end of the year.
Thank you.
Okay, do we?
You had a
Vote on
motion.
that?
You did not
We haven't
vote.
voted yet. No.
Okay, Brian, I think, has a hand up.
I think, make sure that I understand this. Right now, we have a contract that's been bargained between the two parties, and that ASME has bought off on, including section 17. The board is going to approve the contract minus 17, and it goes back to ASME.
Let me stop you, Brian, because you're going straight. ASME has not agreed to this contract. They did not agree to the one last week or 2 weeks ago. This is a new proposal that we're going to send to ASME.
Okay, in other words, this is only a proposal. We're motioning to go in and send this proposal over to them, and they can agree to it or not. Am I right on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're motioning to approve it in this form, and they can agree to it or not.
Okay, does it come back to us again for agreement or something?
Only if they decide not to agree to it.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Okay. Suzanne?
What does Charlestown have to do with this?
I have no idea. Sarah says nothing. Other comments? Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Next item is contract with Police Chief Mike Swinzer. Supposed to consider approval this time. John and David, I know you've had a lot of input into this. Is there a form of motion, or how do we do this, Steve?
Just a motion to approve the employment agreement in the form presented to the board, which would be effective January 1, 2016 through Monday, the first Monday in the month of January 2019.
I will move the approval of that agreement.
Second.
Any comment? Hand up in the back, Suzanne.
Yes, how long has Chief Swinninger been with us?
20 years, I think, end of the year.
And
Is that right?
why do we suddenly need, have we always had a contract with him, or we just had a handshake agreement, or what's the scoop?
We've had contracts.
We've had contracts in the past.
So this is nothing new? And are they usually a 3-year agreement?
No, I believe they're usually a 5-year agreement.
Usually longer.
Okay. Suzanne?
What changes for this contract, what are the changes for this contract versus last one? Anything significant?
His wages is current, it's 3 years versus 5 year. There's no education reimbursement in this one, and I'm pretty sure that's it.
How about severance?
There's no severance in this contract at all.
Okay, so there's nothing big that's coming.
Brian, did you have your hand up?
I did, but Suzanne took my question. Thank you, Suzanne.
Okay. Harriet?
I think it's sort of big to drop the length of the contract from 5 to 3, since he's done such a wonderful job for us.
Jennifer?
When was his last contract?
2013? No, before that.
I don't know.
I believe it expired just before I took office, so that would have been 2 years ago.
2 years ago. And what's prompting the new contract?
Say that again?
What's prompting a new contract?
We want to keep the chief.
But he didn't need a contract the last 3 years?
The lack of a contract was inadvertence on the part of the board, nothing more than that. He had a contract year after year after year, or 5 years, 5 years, 5 years.
Has the public seen the contract?
No.
No.
Where can we see that contract?
If approved, you can see it tomorrow, and we'll put it on the website.
Did you hear that back there?
No,
If it's approved tonight, it'll be on the website tomorrow.
thank you.
Jennifer, okay?
How does that impact the decision tonight, if the public hasn't been able to review the contract?
It's the same contract that we were discussing. Did we have a chance to discuss the chief's contract last?
No.
We didn't?
None discussed.
No.
Well, that was, I just think a lot has happened. There has been an awful lot of discussion, and I would prefer we move forward on this time.
Any other comments?
Yes, ma'am.
Ronnie?
Really, the way you were talking about the contract for the police officer, there's nothing that has really changed
Please, Chief.
Chief, right. There's nothing really has changed as far as I can see. Everything seems to be all right, really, to approve it. And it's a 3-year contract versus a 5. So as far as I can see, everything's A-okay. And he is a good guy.
Okay, other comments? Motion is made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Under new business, we have a new application. Under new business, we have a new application to join the ag security area from Kenneth Miller, who is me. That's for the property that I own at 2557 Horseshoe Trail. Under number 16, there's a new subdivision application for Benjamin Goldfield for 2652.
Ken, I think
Yeah.
the board should move to accept the application, to move forward with the application.
Okay. Someone want to make a motion?
I will so move.
Second.
Any comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
So, I'm sorry, you accept the application and then it gets processed by the county or by the township?
Township.
So is that done then?
No, there's a
No.
public hearing.
So then there's a hearing on
There's a
it,
public hearing and notice.
Property has to be
posted.
posted.
and that'll be in 45 days after it's posted or something like that. Okay, thank you.
New subdivision application for Benjamin Goldfield for 2652 Flowing Springs Road, which I believe is part of the old Mike Sager property, is that right?
No, it's his Titone's Carol Myers place.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. That's the same guy that,
Yeah, someone did the other place.
okay.
You need to acknowledge receipt of his application.
Move to acknowledge it.
Second.
Any comment? All those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, comment, Suzanne.
What kind of a subdivision are we talking about? I mean, acreage-wise, et cetera?
Acreage is 6.017 acres, and it's a 2-lot subdivision.
2 lots on the 6?
It's correct.
One new one.
Okay, Suzanne?
Did you say 1 unit, but 2?
One new lot.
Oh, thank you.
Right. Okay. Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
I need authorization to advertise the 1997 case 590 Super L Extend the Home municipal bid. Any motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comment? Brian?
How much do we expect to receive for it? Do you have any estimate?
I do not.
Okay.
Other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
We have a stormwater agreement for Susan Bender of 1453 St. Matthews Road. Jim, what action is needed on this?
We would like you the township to agree to the stormwater and best management practices and conveyance operation and maintenance agreement, which has been signed by the landowner and is recommended by Carroll Engineering.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comment? All those in favor? Aye. I will need to set the 2016 tax rate at millage of 2.09 mils. That'd be resolution 18 of 2015.
Do we need to read this? Yeah. The whole thing? Just this and this?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'll make the motion. The resolution establishing the West Vincent Township real estate tax for calendar year 2016. Resolution number 18-2015. Now therefore be it resolved, and it is hereby resolved by the Board of Supervisors of West Vincent Township that a tax for the calendar year 2016 on real property within the township made taxable for general township purposes be and hereby is levied at the rate of 2 9/100 mils, parenthesis, .00209, parenthesis, or, in other words, at the rate of no dollars and 20.9, parenthesis, 20 cents, 20.9 cents upon each $100 of assessed valuation of taxable property or total rate of 2 9/100, parentheses, .00209, or in other words, at the rate of no dollars and 20 $20.9, parentheses, 20.9 cents, upon each $100 of assessed valuation of taxable property.
Good job, John.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Second.
Any comment? Artie?
What is the current rate, Ken, on that?
Same.
Same thing, okay.
I just wanted to confirm it was no tax increase.
Right.
Thank you very much.
The tax rate has been in place since 2011.
No comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.